Welcome to the Poisoner's Cabinet. I'm Sinead.
And I'm Nick.
And this is your weekly podcast exploring the lives of the great poisoners and poisoning cases from across the centuries and creating curious cocktails inspired by the tales that we tell. And it's episode 36.
36.
It feels like we really rattled through the 30s.
Does it?
Yeah, to me, it was but a moment ago.
This feels like a long, drawn-out slog.
Much like your 30s. A long, drawn-out affair. Oh, how are you, Nick?
I'm very well. How are you?
Me?
No, you've had your time.
Okay, fine. I'm all right.
Good.
I am going to do a tiny mini shout-out this week, and it's a personal one.
To whom?
To whom? You're going to feel bad now when I say this.
Is it to me?
To Nick. I'm going to shout out to Nick because I love you. I thought this was the best way to tell you. Quick shout out to Ailish and Amy, my cousin Ailish and her beautiful fiance Amy. I know you're fans of this show. They've had a very tough week, and to the rest of my family, really, they've had a very sad week. Thinking of you, love you very much. Any poisonings this week?
No. I did have to think about it for a moment.
Oh, okay. Was there a moment where...
There was a moment of possible confusion where death may have involved.
Finger was poised over the poison button.
The poison button. Yes,
I meant
absolutely.
to sort of like your hand hovered over the arsenic bottle.
I got you there, but it went horribly wrong.
But it went horribly wrong. Well, maybe your finger was poised just to nudge it, like to tip it over, and it would accidentally spill into the soup.
Yes.
Ratatouille-like, but much darker.
That was exactly what was going on.
You know what we should do, Nick?
What should we do?
We should thank our Patreon subscribers.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes, we do, because they're sexy and they're lovely, and we love them very much.
Marvellous. So thank you very much to Josie Welch.
To Julia Bivens.
And to Maria Connor.
You're very, very lovely people.
Lovely, thank you very much.
And it's getting very spooky over on Patreon at the moment. Ooh.
Yes, good story this week. Spooky story.
Spooky story. And we're going to have some very special guests next week on Patreon.
Yes.
Who I think a lot of you may know. And we shall tease all of this information in due course.
I better get writing something.
Well, Nick.
Yes.
Are you ready?
Never.
To drink cocktails and talk about poison?
Oh, I already have a cocktail, so let's go for it.
Or.
Always and all.
We could drink poison and talk about cocktails.
You see, 36 in, have I ever once chosen that option?
Yes.
But you still ask?
Sometimes you freak out and just go, we're doing the second one! We're doing the second one, I don't care. But I cut that, and then after you've calmed down after a few days, then we come back and re-record this. We're going to go with the first one?
We're going to go with the first one.
Okay, we're going to go with the first one. Hooray, hooray, hooray. So, it is Nick's story this week.
Hurrah!
Exciting. But we can't possibly tell a story without a cocktail in hand.
Never.
That's not the way we do things around here.
Not the way things should be done.
Yeah, and as it's your story this week, you get to choose the secret ingredient.
I did.
The secret ingredient which is inspired by the tale that we tell and will flavour the cocktail of the week.
Yes.
So, Nick.
Yes.
The secret ingredient...
The secret ingredient...
Is...
a very mysterious white powder.
A mysterious
white powder. Who knows what it could be?
Okay. What? I have questions.
I'm sure you have many.
A mysterious white powder. That's just what you're going for.
Yeah.
A mysterious white powder goes into... I'm scared, actually.
Well, as one should be.
I mean, I was momentarily outraged at we're going down this route of just random things that we say are ingredients back into the Sicily territory and monks and things. But I'm also now quite frightened because I realise this is actually going into the cocktail.
Yes.
Is this how we end this?
36, I've had enough. No more for you. And we're going to go out on a bang.
Is it gunpowder? No, don't be silly. That's grey. Yes. It's the colour of your heart. Okay, so ominous white powder. So now we're just going with kind of literary references. We're just going to put this in there so we can go a suspicious-looking fruit we can use next week. Or
I'm looking forward to this suspicious-looking fruit.
An upsetting condiment. All right, with a mysterious white powder... Bloody hell.
What are you bloody helling me about?
Well, I can't think of... Okay. With a mysterious white powder, Nick, what have you come up with?
Well, this is a classic cocktail.
Okay.
That I'd never heard of before.
Oh,
it's called a cruster.
What?
A brandy cruster.
A brandy cruster.
And you can have whiskey crusters and gin crusters. Yeah, no, I'd never heard of it before. But it's from like the 1850s.
This sounds horrible.
Wow.
Cruster.
Yes, it's very crusty. Bits in it.
Oh,
no, it hasn't.
Well, some people might be thinking of a lovely baked pie crust, but I'm just thinking
No.
of crusty skin.
Why would you be thinking, what's crust?
Because
What is crusty skin?
It's like eczema or psoriasis. I'm a deeply damaged person.
This is
That's where
obvious.
my brain goes to in the first instance. Why do you think we started this podcast?
Some people think, oh, a nice pie crust or something. You're going with haggard, leprous skin.
Literally,
Is where the first thing
it
you
was
go
a
to.
crusty wound, a separating
Scabs.
wound that has crusted over. That's my first thought.
You're a very upsetting person.
So, okay, a brandy crusted. Well, now we've set the scene beautifully for everyone
Yeah,
listening.
absolutely. It sounds like a lovely cocktail now, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, I trust you, Nick. It's got an ominous white powder in it. It's crusty. I'm sorry that I'm suspicious.
You're going to regret this.
Okay, I'm going to go with it, Nick. I'm going
Well,
to
you're gonna
trust
have to,
you.
really, aren't
My
you?
life is in your hands.
You don't have much choice.
I think it's time for us to go to the Poisonous Cabinet kitchen and shake up a storm. See you in a minute.
See you in a bit.
And we're back.
Hello.
Wow, Nick.
It's
Is
an
all I
interesting
can
look, isn't it?
This is the most all-out you've gone on design for a cocktail. This is the most staggering cocktail look that you've created.
Well, I've not created this. This is the traditional way of serving this cocktail,
But it's phenomenal.
which is really weird, and I've never seen anything like it.
Before I explain what it is, it does slightly remind me of like a Russian hat, like a Cossack kind of like with that sort of
I
tall
see with
hat.
yes, like a bit of fur sort of thing going on
Yeah.
potentially.
So-
Yes, I see where you're going with that.
So we've got a champagne flute with a beautiful kind of ruby-ish
Ruby-ish beverage
liquid
inside.
with where I can see a suspicious white powder dancing around the top, and it's topped off with some sort of half lemon, half sugar frozen thing funnel on the top.
Really weird. It is really weird. So I've never seen.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, I mean, drinking it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. How do we?
In theory, through the lemon. Because this has been prepared a couple of hours in advance. So,
I can tell.
so basically, you'll see the pictures later on the social. Basically, a lemon topped and tailed, hollowed out the middle, so all the flesh and pith has been taken out, only to save for the drink itself. So you're left with a barrel of lemon rind.
It's almost like a lemon. A tunnel. A
tunnel
of lemon.
Which is put into the top of a champagne flute, and it has to be served in a champagne flute. Those are the rules. And then sort of the gap between the edge of the glass and the lemon is sealed with sugar syrup, which is then dusted in sugar and put in the fridge, and then half an hour later another load goes around it to create like a seal between the glass and the lemon. So in theory, you can drink it through the lemon tunnel.
Oh, so it's nice because it's rigid rather than floppy lemon.
Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
This is. I mean, it would look that is a great method for a party trick. This is incredible
So
if you bring this out.
I
for
have
guests.
no idea. I've got a feeling as soon as the liquid touches the sugar, is it all going to dissolve and go everywhere? Or so I have provided some straws as well for emergency use.
I'm just going to address the elephant in the room.
Yeah,
The white powder.
the white powder.
Is it Coke?
It's not Coke.
Oh no! Oh man!
Oh, no.
Drugs are bad, kids. Drugs are bad.
The white powder we have used on this occasion is the sugar.
Oh, the sugar.
The sugar. And so I was looking at sugar things, and I thought, I could do like a sugared rim on a drink or something like that. So I was Googling sugared rims.
And I shudder to think what came up.
And this came up. And this delightful looking beverage came up. And I thought, that is just too weird not to give it a go.
So we've got the tunnel of lemon and sugar.
Yep.
The little sprinkling of powdered sugar on top. And then what's in the drink?
So in the drink we have brandy.
Yeah.
We have triple sec.
Ooh, yeah.
We have maraschino.
Nice.
We have lemon juice.
Yes.
We have a bit of sugar.
Yeah.
And bitters.
This sounds delicious.
So yeah, really, really intriguing.
Okay, so we need to try this. So are we going to try and
I'm going to
sip
try
through the
and
lemon
go through the
funnel,
lemon,
the
see
lemon
what
tunnel?
the hell happens.
Okay, right. Let's go for it.
give it a
Dive
go.
in. Cheers. Okay,
Merry
this
Christmas.
is. I'm sorry. Oh god, this is weird.
It's so weird.
It's so weird.
It didn't drip everywhere though.
No, it worked.
I have to say the seal has held.
Hell, I don't know. It's a very nice drink as well.
It is actually really
But
nice.
I haven't actually really absorbed the drink yet. It was more the going through the tunnel of lemon, which was more the thing. You will see the pictures later, guys. Google it if you need to right now. But yeah, it's a tunnel of lemon and sugar, and then you've got to sort of tip the drink through it.
Really, yeah, but you tip it much further than you think you're going to.
Yeah, and you think you're going to die, or it's going to go all over your face. Okay, I'm going to try again. So the drink itself is lovely.
It's quite nice. It's really
Bit of
weird
sugar.
drinking it through that, though.
It's really weird drinking it through there. Really nice cocktail.
Yeah.
Delicious. Really, all the flavours. Tick the boxes. Delicious. Brandy.
Next time, I might try it without the lemon tunnel.
Why would you?
No, it's lovely.
If you're gonna do it, just go all out, guys. We don't do things by halves here at the
Absolutely
Poisoners
not.
Cabinet. I'm not gonna lie. I think the lemon thing is brilliant, and it's a talking point. It doesn't look particularly elegant.
No, I'll give you that.
Technically, it works. As an engineer would be all over this and be going, yes, it's absolutely solid, but a designer would be questioning its capabilities. But then you end up drinking quite a lot of the cocktail because you're just knocking it back to try and get it through the lemon.
Weird. This is weird.
Are you gonna continue with the lemony bits, or are you gonna use the straw?
I might go with straw, because I'm thinking the more you chip it, the more the liquid is in, or the drink is in touch with the sugar, the more that sugar is going to dissolve. and at some point, it's just going to go, "Wah!" and go all down your top.
There's going to be lemon on your face.
And there's going to be all sorts of unpleasantness going everywhere.
Okay, so we're gonna add some straws to this. And it does look pretty cool, actually, just with that as a decoration and the straws in there.
It's worse with the straw, because you don't get that sugar hit from the rim. You don't get
Really?
that.
Oh,
you don't
that's
get
right.
that sugar.
My God, you're right.
So when you drink it, you also get a mouthful of the sugar crust.
I don't actually mind that, though.
Oh, it's not bad. I
still-
prefer it with the sugar, though.
This is the most complicated drink that we've ever made, and yet we can't stop drinking it. And it's great for the listeners who are just hearing us just go, yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what we have to do. Hello. And I'm getting sugar all over my face. It's everywhere.
It is not an elegant drink.
I mean, if you made this on a first date, you'd sleep with a person anyway just for the effort.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't look sexy doing it. You can't, sensually sip
No,
this.
not at all. This is not one for the ambassador's party.
Oh, God. I can't stop laughing. I'm trying to drink it. Oh, well, I just get bits of sugar every time I go
It looks
into
really weird and looks
doesn't
quite
it?
obscene, to be honest. Whereas you think you're just drinking from a glass, but no, your sort of lips are going towards this sort of puckered yellow orifice. It's a very peculiar look.
Oh, puckered yellow orifice is not a phrase I thought we'd ever say on this show, and yet...
Welcome to the world of the brandy cruster.
The Betty Crust, and it's not a good name. That's not a good name.
I'm assuming it comes from the crust of sugar, but
I know, but you'd never call something crust. Just because there's a risk of someone like me out there.
yeah, but this was made
Oh,
New
1800s.
Orleans in the 1850s. This comes from.
And you've got to admire their spirit here, that
so-
they've put this together for no reason. There's
Just
no
'cause
reason.
why the hell not?
There's no reason for any of this. I think the cocktail is fine on its own. I think it's sweet enough with a little bit of powdered sugar that you've put in there. With the lemon, it's brilliant.
There's no need for it whatsoever, but it's just
There
bizarre.
is no need. But people,
But why the hell not?
please, if ever you were going to attempt to make a cocktail and film it and take pictures, make it this one.
Yeah.
God
You need to give
damn
yourself a
it.
good couple of hours. So, because you need to,
Do what you need to
and
do,
crust
drunk.
in the fridge for half an hour, another layer in the fridge for half an hour, another layer in the fridge for half an hour, then you can drink
See,
it.
that's effort. I would never
Yeah,
do
'cause
that.
it's gotta
I would just
properly
drunkenly
solidify.
come home and try and make that for someone.
That would not end well.
Oh, I love it. How do you follow that?
Well, quite. Yeah.
Well, with our brandy crusters, I still can't get over that name, god damn it. Brandy crusters in hand, but wearing medical gloves, I think. Is it time for a story, Nick?
It is time for a story.
Yay!
Story time. So today we start our story.
Okay.
Not at the beginning. Not even at the end. But somewhere in the middle-ish. So somewhere in the middle of the story. A bit nearer the end than the beginning. Probably about 60% of the way through. And
I like it. It's specific.
And we find ourselves in Chicago.
Chicago.
In the police cell of Martin Dotz.
Oh, a man?
A man, indeed. A seemingly mild-mannered man. Locked up for the most evil and despicable of crimes. Defrauding a used furniture dealer.
God, no.
To the chair, I say. I have to say.
Oh, you have been working on that all day, haven't you? Oh, you love a pun.
I love a pun.
It's a great pun.
Moving on from my excellent punnage.
I don't think anyone can, but, we'll try and rebuild our lives after that.
So Inspector Shippey, the man who has incarcerated Martin Dotz, has no way of knowing that this man has actually murdered a dozen women all over the country.
Bastard.
But he does become rather suspicious when he receives a letter from the Reverend Herman Hass of West Virginia. The Reverend has recognised the man's picture in a Chicago newspaper. It's obviously a slow news day, and they're photographing furniture fraudsters.
How do you defraud a furniture shop?
I'm not entirely sure, and I did try and Google as to what exactly had happened, and with no luck. But
he bought a 3-piece suite, but only paid for 2 pieces.
Or potentially something like that. But say the Reverend has recognised Martin Dotz's picture in the newspaper,
Okay.
And he has written to the Chicago police, enclosing another photograph of Johann Hock, a man who has been suspected of killing a Mrs. Caroline Hock in the summer of 1895. Now, there is no mistaking that these two men are the same person.
Yeah.
They are the same person. The problem is that the man in the photograph that the Reverend has sent was supposed to have committed suicide in the Ohio River 3 years earlier.
Oh, wow.
Well,
a ghost!
A ghost! So could it be a ghost furniture fraudster? You never know.
Fulfilling his life's duties.
The policeman did not think so.
God damn it. Why is there never ghost murderers?
I know. So Inspector Shippey, he attempts to investigate this lead with this information given by the Reverend and this letter, but he finds himself going into a complete rabbit hole of weirdness, and decides that it's going to take a huge amount of time to actually unravel what this conundrum that has been presented to him. And he needs to keep Martin Hock, whatever his name is, in jail. Mm-hmm. So he pursues the fraud charge. Keep him locked up a bit so I can find out exactly what's going on. Let's go with the fraud. And soon he actually has enough for a conviction. And it is obviously serious enough that he's actually sentenced for a year in Cook County Jail. Now with Martin Hock, whatever his name is, locked up, the inspector can turn his full attention and his investigating skills to this matter of this suicide, murder, death. What's going on here? Same man.
I like the fact that he probably presented that to his superior officer.
Yes.
I want to investigate a suicide, a murder, death. What's going on here?
What's going on? I need to find out what's going on here.
That's good. We've called Scotland Yard. What's all this then? Yes, they agree.
And so, acting on this tip from the Reverend Hass, he starts in West Virginia. Now, Hock has first appeared in West Virginia in the town of Wheeling in February 1895, using the name Jacob Huff. He opens a saloon bar when he arrives, catering to the German community. He likes playing he plays in like a zither in his bar to entertain his clientele and things like that.
So A, he's German.
Yes, he's German.
Great. B, you made the motion for an accordion.
I really did that. I'm not
zither.
entirely sure why I did that. It's a very specific accordion type zither. No.
He was famed for it.
Famed.
People came from miles around. People hated it.
But he becomes a popular man for his accordion zither playing in the local German community. And he begins to seek out a wife.
A what?
He wants to be happy.
He is in want of a wife?
Of a wife.
Want of a wife.
And he is in want of a widow.
Oh, okay.
A widow with
a
bit of cash.
Oh, okay, fine. Fair enough.
Or at least someone divorced with a bit of cash.
Yes. Needs some cash.
Knows
her way around a house.
Yeah, well, I'm not that bothered about that, really. Got some cash. That's what I'm after.
I like
One of those he finds is Caroline Hock. And after a whirlwind romance, the couple marry in April, only 2 months after he's actually arrived in the town.
Oh, fair enough.
They are married.
'Tis the olden times, though.
Don't waste
time.
Don't waste
Anyone
time.
could die of cholera any second.
This is true. The service is performed by Reverend Hass, our letter-writing reverend. After 3 months of marriage, Caroline falls gravely ill.
Oh, no.
Desperately ill. Reverend Hass is called to Caroline's bedside.
Just pats her on the head every now and then.
I think he's a bit more feeling than that.
Ugh.
Really?
You got to do a pun earlier on. I get to do dirty gags.
Oh, is that the deal we've got now, is it?
Well, that's the deal that I have silently made.
So the Reverend is called to Caroline's bedside, where he witnesses Hoff mixing a strange white powder into her tea.
A mysterious white.
Now, Hoff, he tries to convince the Reverend that this is a natural remedy. It's something he's picked up from the local druggist. It's all for the good, to help his wife get his wife better. Mm-hmm. But the Reverend remains unconvinced by this and slightly suspicious. Obviously, this is a very new man in town. This has all happened very, very quickly.
Yes.
So he's got his concerns, but he doesn't do anything. He just goes, okay, doesn't say anything, doesn't let anyone know. Within a couple of days later, Caroline is dead.
No.
Caroline has died. Now, within a few hours of the death, the news has reached Reverend Hass, and he goes straight to the house. The husband is going to be in mourning, in grief. Mm-hmm. Need to go there, be supportive. I'm the local priest. He gets there. Caroline's body is unattended. No one else in the house.
Oh.
Caroline lying in the bed where she died.
Oh.
No one to be seen. Reverend is fuming. This is not how you treat the dead. No. This is not how you treat your dead wife. You do not
Ideally
leave.
not.
Ideally not. So he storms out and he goes searching the town for Hoff.
I'm liking this priest.
No, this priest, he's
This priest has
good.
got some cojones. I like
He
it.
really has. He scours the town, and eventually he finds him in the barber shop, getting a nice trim, getting a haircut.
He's just gone to the salon.
He's just gone to the salon.
Oh, bloody hell.
Yeah, his wife has died. I know, make myself feel a bit better. Go and get my nice hair done.
Yeah, there's going to be lots of honeys at the funeral.
Well, quite. Yeah, I mean, as soon as Hoff sees the Reverend approaching, he sort of breaks down and starts weeping uncontrollably. Now, the minister is not convinced by this sort of showy spectacle.
That is 100% what you would do if you saw someone break. Oh, God!
No, woe is me!
Oh, it's like when you see
It's the last thing my wife wanted was a haircut.
It's like if you're having a sick day and you see your boss in town, you go, I'm just going out for medicine, excuse me. This tequila isn't mine.
Huff insists that his wife is buried straight away. There is no delay. He collects $2,500 from Caroline's life insurance. Again, a considerable sum. Sells her house, cleans out $900 from her bank account, and vanishes. He is gone.
Bloody hell.
I know.
He's a fast mover.
Oh, yes.
He's rapid.
Yes, this is all within a few days. So, he's scarpered. Now, Reverend Haas has explained in his letter to the inspector that he believes Huff has actually gone to the nearby Ohio River. He surmises, and I'm not entirely sure how he's come to this conclusion, but he details what he believes happens that has had that evening. Strips off all his clothes, walks into the water, places his watch, which has got his photograph in, on the side on his pile of clothes, leaves a suicide note with his clothes, and climbs into a boat. He's tethered there, waiting.
Oh, he does a full Reginald Perrin.
Absolutely.
Then.
Yep.
He just leaves everything on
faked
there.
his suicide. He climbs into the boat, rows away, so he continues up the river and sets the boat adrift. And then once he's reached the other side, I think the town very much believe, his wife has died, he's grief-stricken, but the Reverend is unconvinced. He remembers seeing what these powders and things that he's been put. He remains unconvinced. Now, so the Reverend and the church are at the heart of this little local community. Everyone comes to him for advice, and I think he's probably left feeling incredibly guilty that he didn't take any action when he became suspicious of Hoff in the first place, administering this powder. He had his suspicions. He didn't say anything. Caroline's died. So I think he's probably feeling very, very, very guilty. And he takes it on himself to figure out the truth. He is now on a mission. So just 1 week after this supposed suicide, a musician that the Reverend knows visits him, and in casual conversation, catching up about the events, he mentions that he has seen Huff only a few days previously, but this time he's actually calling himself Johann Hock. What? And he's been seen across the Ohio River in Janesville with another woman on his arm.
No!
Obviously, it didn't seem he went too far to start his new life.
Did he literally just go across
It looks like he just
river?
went across the river, next town. Hi, I'm Johann Hock. I love you. Will you marry me?
Obviously, in America, rivers are bigger.
Well, yeah, this is true.
Big swathes of water.
Absolutely. Can't see the other side.
I think you can actually see people on the other side of rivers in America. I'm thinking of lakes.
Or possibly an ocean. The Reverend writes to the police in Janesville, warning them of this dangerous fraudster in town, but there is no reply. The police take no action.
God damn it.
And Johann, as he's now calling himself, remains free. But as soon as the Reverend knows that Hock, whatever he's calling himself, is alive, he becomes obsessed. He scours newspapers for marriage notices and obituaries, picking through cases where a remarried widow had died suddenly, where a husband had disappeared with a new wife's money. He is reading all these articles that are in the bottom corner of the back page and stuff like that no one ever reads, but all these little things he's wheedling out.
Clever boy.
He's a clever man. Now, Hoff has a habit that whenever he skips town, he takes his recently deceased or abandoned wife's name. So in Wheeling, he arrives as Hoff, his name. He marries Caroline Hock. He is now Johann Hock. Caroline Hock's died.
That would avoid suspicion.
So
perhaps.
He's taken sort of like his wife's name.
It feels like a shrewd move, that one, actually.
Potentially.
Weirdly, because then you can turn up and say, well, I'm a grieving widow. Why would I? No, actually, no.
But why would he take his wife's name?
Oh, yes, no, I'm being an idiot. No,
yeah, so normally you take the husband's name.
Wife's name.
So he's taken the wife's maiden name to reinvent himself in this new town.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's quite intriguing. He finds a piece about an Otto Hock. Who has married a woman in Dayton, Ohio, and deserted her only a few days later, taking her life savings. In 1897, he finds an article in a German language newspaper from Milwaukee about the vanishing of an Jacob Otto Hock, who has disappeared and left one wife dead and another swindled out of her life savings.
What? Bloody hell.
By 1898, Reverend Hass's newspaper detective work has begun to pay off. And in a Chicago newspaper, he reads of a man named Martin Dotz, who had been arrested for the previously mentioned furniture-based fraud.
He's really toned it down when he was in Chicago. Maybe he was on holiday.
But also for bigamy.
Bigamy? Well, it's bigamy too. It's big of all of us.
Which is a trait that seems very familiar to the man that the Reverend was chasing. Chasing down. And as we know, he wrote to the inspector in charge of the case.
Can I just say, I love this Reverend.
Oh, he's brilliant. He's a marvellous man.
If a film has not been made of his life, let it happen. He is a hero chasing across the American frontier. Oh my God.
I mean, this is very much the abridged version you're getting here.
I can imagine.
But he goes into such detail. I would go to a slight aside. When Hoff had opened the bar, the saloon bar in Wheeling, he was obviously talking to patrons and stuff like that. He talked about where he had come from in Germany, and the Reverend actually takes it upon himself to write to the local magistrate in the town in Germany, where Hoff was supposedly from,
right,
to try and find any information, background about this man who has emigrated to the States. So he goes all out to try and redeem himself from what he sees is perhaps his failure that he didn't...
Just try and investigate this man.
He's just trying to investigate this man
his background
and trying to do as much as he can.
Oh my God,
So he's a brilliant man. He's absolutely fantastic.
And again, as we've seen, doctors and policemen failing people, reverends, the not greatest poison of them all in this case.
So as we heard earlier, he has written to Inspector Shippey, and the inspector is concerned enough about the Reverend's accusations and these file of newspaper cuttings and clippings and things that the Reverend presents. And for the year while Hoff, Dotz, whatever his name is in prison for fraud, Shippey follows this trail that has been laid out by the Reverend sort of across the country. New York, San Francisco, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Kansas City, Milwaukee, all these places that he finds connections with this, who they think is the same person. Obviously under a million different names, but incredibly frustratingly, they cannot produce enough hard evidence to narrow it down that, yes, this man is actually this man, or anything like that. So they cannot convict him of anything. And he is constantly slipping through their fingers.
Because it feels like, 1 year he's in prison. Oh, that's plenty of time to gather evidence. It isn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
To secure a conviction, you may have a lot of conjecture, you may have a lot of theories, you may have a lot of
circumstantial evidence about it.
Everything's adding up, but for hard evidence that you can take to court...
Absolutely. I mean, Hoff is soon to be released from jail, and the inspector does not want this. He is desperate, and he contacts the authorities in Wheeling and begs them to exhume the body of Caroline Hock to look for signs of poisoning. The police in Wheeling carry out the request. I mean, they've been hounded by the Reverend as well for years, and now you've got a police inspector from Chicago going about the same thing. They're thinking, oh, we should probably do something.
Whereas the Reverend's just going, dig up their bones!
So they do. They exhume Caroline's body, but officials are horrified.
Ooh.
They open the lid and they discover that all of Caroline's vital organs have been surgically removed.
No!
And are missing.
Shut up!
The body cannot be...
Because he wanted her in the ground so soon.
Yeah, he wanted her in the ground so soon. He has removed everything that might give a trace of poisoning.
That is nasty.
There's nasty. I mean, there's nothing to be examined.
Chilling.
There's no case to be made. The body, the parts missing, the internal organs missing. That's weird. That's fucking awful. But there's nothing to be tested for poison.
Is it?
And they can't prove it was him that did it.
Oh my God.
Nothing happens. At the end of his term for fraud, Hock is released, much to the frustration of the inspector and the Reverend, who are probably at the jail gates going, no, you bastard.
Oh my God. Hock he's the greatest poisoner of them all.
He may well be something.
He's done the thing that for 35 episodes before this, no one has thought to do. Take out their organs. And then they can't... Oh, God. The ghosts of every poisoner is going, oh, shit, why didn't I think of that?
Well, didn't Crippen try to do something similar?
Well, we don't know what happened to his wife. He just buried some shit in his cellar, allegedly.
The inspector is convinced that this man is going to murder again. Already suspected of so many, across the country, in so many states, but they have no hard evidence. Now, before his prison term, Hock would take his time. He would marry women, slowly poison them, spending months murdering wives very carefully.
Of course. It's a hobby.
It's a hobby. You want to do it well.
Take pleasure in your hobby.
Practice, get better.
10,000 hours.
He calls in local doctors who he knows are going to diagnose his wife's illnesses as natural causes, maybe kidney disease or something like that. But he starts that early, that conversation with doctors early, so there's no suspicion. It's not all of a sudden, oh look, my wife is desperately ill, or she's dead. It starts months as he is slowly putting his white powders into various things. Incredibly clever. After his release from the Cook County Jail, he knows people are suspicious of him. He knows he's got a mad reverend on his tail, and now the inspector
Which
as
is the
well.
last thing you want.
And his careful methods seem to sort of slightly fall apart. He begins killing in record time.
Oh, come on, learn your lesson.
For 1900 to 1904, Hock used a variety of names to marry and murder as many as 15 more women.
What? So he's been released from jail. Everyone knows that he's...
But there is no evidence. There is no hard evidence to prove.
He covers his tracks that well.
He covers his tracks that well.
Oh my God.
He's off and he's doing it again. But this time he knows he's got people suspicious of him. He's doing it quickly. He's not sticking around in any place anytime soon.
I don't like it.
He selects future wives and victims from Lonely Hearts columns. Now, we have seen that before. But he marries rich widows. And then within days of the wedding, they are heavily dosed with his arsenic powder.
Is that...
So the white powder it is indeed arsenic.
Arsenic alarm!
It is indeed arsenic, as many things that we do.
And shout out to the person who wrote to us this week and said they were in a work meeting and someone mentioned arsenic and they shouted out arsenic alarm.
I had not read that one, that's brilliant.
And you have all of the arsenic points. You are our God, we worship you.
So, I mean, at the time, he is relying on the relatively primitive embalming techniques that actually use quite high levels of arsenic in the process of embalming, which means it is impossible to find trace amounts used as poison because it's part of the embalming process.
Arsenic we know is a preservative.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's consciously using this.
Absolutely. He's using this fact very much to his own advantage, knowing that they will not be able to differentiate between arsenic used in embalming and arsenic used in tea to kill his wives. He murders some wives within a week of their nuptials, of their wedding. They're dead within a week, and he is still free and out there. In 1901, he takes a mail-order course in hypnotism, given by Professor Jackson.
I thought it was going to be something really
No,
cool.
it's not. It's not.
Professor Hypno or Mysterio.
Yeah, exactly. It's not. Yeah.
Professor Eyes.
But no, Professor Jackson.
Look into this glass.
He earns himself a diploma as a graduate hypnotist.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, he quickly tries to put his new skills to the test. And goes to work on a widow named Marie Elizabeth Girk, whom he had met through a Room Wanted post in a local paper. He marries her in 3 weeks. Now, whether that was his hypnotist skills using that, or, I mean, obviously he's not been unlucky with the persuading women to marry him in the past.
No, clearly. I'm thinking he must... Well, he's got the gift of the cab or something.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he tries...
That seems a bit far-fetched. To suddenly go from... If he can do that, then he's just ramping it up to hypnotism. Look into my eyes, look into my eyes, look into my eyes.
He tries to hypnotise her, so the reports say, into taking out a large life insurance policy on herself.
Clever. She's lonely, she's horny, she wants to get married, but life insurance, please, let us give it a week.
Absolutely. She's married him, but Marie is made of sterner stuff than this, and will not fall for the hypnotism. And he soon realises that she is not going to take out this life insurance policy, no matter how many pocket watches he has to hand. As soon as he realises this, he's off. He leaves Marie, abandons her, moves on to the next.
Marie's probably heartbroken. She thought she'd found the one.
But she probably had a lucky escape. If she had taken that life insurance policy, she would not be around.
So we're thinking the hypnotism was shit.
I think it was... Well, it was a mail-order hypnotism. I can't imagine it's going to be that good.
It was just a big pinwheel and he was just turning it.
A series of diagrams with a pocket watch there, and then arrows.
He was just showing her the diagram going, apparently I move it here, now I'm moving it here, now I'm moving it here, now I'm moving it here. Are you hypnotised yet?
It did not work well. He then starts posing as Count Otto von Kern.
Yes.
Of Bavaria.
Yes.
He conned Hulda Nagel out of $2,000.
Sorry, so who did he con?
Hulda.
Hulda?
Hulda Nagel.
Hulda Nagel. The names just get better and better.
She's £2,000 through $2,000 lighter after meeting the Count.
A lot of money.
As John Schultz, he marries Marie Becker, insured her life, and attended her funeral 2 months later.
Killer.
No.
Maybe not
I
that
think
Marie Becker.
probably not.
She had a sojourn back in America, then she went back to Belgium, and then all was done.
In 1903, under the name of Dr. Hart, he marries a burlesque queen in Milwaukee. She is described as a burlesque queen. What makes one a burlesque queen, I do not know.
I think we all know what makes a woman a burlesque queen. Just goddamn attitude, that's what it does.
And they honeymoon in Minneapolis, like one does.
As you would.
It's a romantic
It's
place.
a lovely place.
But when he tries and fails to knock her out with chloroform,
Oh!
he runs in the middle of the night. He flees. The burlesque queen has fought back,
God damn
has
it,
not
yes.
succumbed to the chloroform. And now, again, a woman who is too much for him, too strong.
She got moxie. He just tried to chloroform and then
Yeah.
fled in the night.
Yep. I imagine she woke up halfway through with a rag stuff in her face, fought him
Yeah,
off, and he went, I'm not having this, and he scalpers.
Just sort of, I'm leaving you, darling.
Yes.
Well, it's fine.
Yeah, that works for me. He marries his last victim, Marie Walker, in Chicago. He's gone back in Chicago on December the 5th, 1904. Only days later, she is in bed in agony. On the night of her death, Marie's sister Amelia arrives at their home, hugely concerned for Marie. As his wife lay dying, Hock embraces and kisses Amelia downstairs.
Ugh. But, sorry, figuratively or literally?
No, literally.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
Yes.
But not downstairs.
Again. Despicable.
The way you said it, Nick, it was... I mean, that would be cause for alarm if you've never met the person before as well. Or maybe she was fine with it.
I mean, I think
to be honest,
she-
I'm lonely and...
to be honest, I think she was fine with it. Because as his wife is lying dying, he proposes to his wife's sister, and she agrees.
If he's done that on the first meeting, she's probably thinking, fuck yes, okay. Go ahead, mate.
Marie is buried the next day,
No.
and Hock marries her sister 6 days later.
Oh, fuck off. Bad sister.
Bad sister.
Bad sister.
Bad sister.
Bad
Well,
sister's
indeed.
been waiting for her to die.
Well, yeah,
hasn't she?
something. There was not a good relationship there, I feel.
Oh, God. That is a nasty Christmas. That's not a good Christmas.
He receives $500 from Marie's life insurance policy. Amelia has given him another $750 after they've wed.
Oh, my God.
And as soon as he receives his cash, he's scarpered again. He runs.
You see, if you're gonna marry the fuckboys, sorry, I'm overwhelmed by the sheer volume here. I'm flabbergasted.
Now, Amelia goes straight to the Chicago police. She's having none of this.
Finally.
She goes to report this theft and this missing husband. And now Inspector Shippey immediately knows this is the man I've been chasing
He's literally just like
for so
his
long.
chair kicks back
Exactly,
as he
yeah.
jumps out.
Going, yes,
Finally!
this is mine, finally. And he has Marie's body exhumed and tested. Now, fortunately, the mortician who worked on Marie and prepared her for burial has used a new embalming technique, a new fluid that does not contain arsenic. And without the cover of this old-fashioned embalming fluid, the medical examiner finds huge quantities of arsenic in her organs. At last, they have their evidence that they can charge Hock with murder. But he's scalpered. He's fled. Shippey sends photographs of Hock to every newspaper in the country. And only a short time later, a landlady and widow in New York, Mrs. Catherine Kimmel, recognises the likeness as being that of her new boarder, Henry Bartles. He sticks in her memory because this rather peculiar man has proposed marriage only 20 minutes after he met her. So
I love it.
he did stick in the memory.
I like this house here. And how was the plumbing? Marriage?
Yes.
Marriage? Okay, we'll come back to this.
Yes, she declined his kind proposal, but he still takes the room. He might be hoping to change her mind, woo her over the next couple of hours or something.
She must really be hard up for rent.
She reports him that he's here, he's a bit weird. The authorities pounce and grab him, and they soon have him in custody. At his arrest, he doesn't resist. He is quoted as saying to a police officer, "I am Hock, and I am a much abused man." I don't think he got that much sympathy. I have to say.
Maybe that works on all the widows.
Well, maybe so. Police seize a revolver, $600 in cash, several wedding rings with the inscriptions filed away
For God's sake.
from his room, and a fountain pen filled with 58 grams of arsenic.
Yes! Yes!
A poison pen.
A poison pen! Oh, why didn't you use ink?
I didn't think of that.
A poison fountain.
Poison
oh my
fountain
god, it's the stuff of dreams.
It is true James Bond shit going on here. I mean, Hock claims that this is intended for himself only, and that he was planning on committing suicide.
Of course.
For all this abuse and horror he has suffered from his wives.
As you would do with a fountain pen.
Yeah, as soon he was on his way back to Chicago, where Inspector Shippey and the Reverend Haas are both there waiting for him when the train
Rubbing
arrives
their
at the station, going, "Got you at last." During his trial, as the list of aliases is read out, he hums and whistles and twirls his thumbs. Jacob Schmidt.
I was wondering what he was going to twirl there. He was twirling a cane.
Well,
Hardly.
he's probably twirling his moustache. He's got a most
Yeah.
fantastic handlebar moustache.
Yes.
Jacob
Twirling a
Schmidt, Johann Hock, Albert Huesberg, Count Otto von Kain, Jacob Erdoff, Henry Martels, Dr. Hart, Martin Dotz, Jacob Duss, C.A. Meyer, H. Frick, Dr. James, C.L. Calford, Jacob Hewitt, D.C. Witt, C. Cooley, Henry F. Hartman, John C. Schultz, and Heinrich Voltsand. An impressive list of names that he has gone by.
I think it probably would have killed it is if he just quietly gone, yeah, after every single name. Present. No,
Yes.
no, stop saying that.
When he is finally convicted of Marie Walker's murder, he whispers, "It's all over with Johann, it serves me right." And quite right, it does. Hock finally goes to the gallows on February the 23rd, 1906. I mean, once he declares his innocence as he walks up the steps, no one's that bothered. He nods for the sheriff to place the noose around his neck and says, "I'm done with this world, I declare. I have done with everybody." And seconds later, the trapdoor falls away and Johann Hock falls to his death. No one knows if that was actually his real name.
Wow.
At all, no one knows what his real name ever was. Inspector Shippey comes to believe that Hock has married at least 44 women in his career as a bigamous swindler, murderer. But no one knows how many of those women he has murdered or who he has just abandoned and left. And they have tried to move on with their lives. During the trial, one local reporter has actually asked Hock what he has done with all the bodies. Because there's not a pile of bodies that they're trying to find a murderer for. They're just disappeared women and stuff like that. But Hock refused to comment. The question is actually partially answered in 1935, when human remains are found inside the wall of a Chicago house that Hock once owned.
No. Oh.
So, I mean, Hock was a middle-aged, balding, slightly portly chap. Light blue eyes, handlebar moustache, bit of a droopy left eye, apparently.
Not sexy.
So, well, exactly. I mean, there's nothing to suggest that he was a particularly virile or outgoing or attractive man. So how on earth he got so many women to agree to marry him within days of meeting is quite... So he must have had quite the persuasive, quite the gift.
But that's the thing, is that most serial killers that we know of, they're not particularly sexy.
Well, no, this is true. They're just incredibly charming.
They have a way about them.
This is endlessly commented on in the press. Like there's pictures of him all over the place.
Yeah.
And if you Google his name, you'll see pictures. And yeah, he looks like a sort of characteristic Victorian villain. He's interviewed by the Chicago Sun newspaper, and he actually reveals what they say are his 6 rules to live by.
Okay.
6 rules that help so many women fall in love with him. And I'm wondered how many you might agree with.
Okay.
As to persuade a woman to marry a man.
Let me have a sip of drink.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says that 9 out of every 10 women can be won by flattery.
Yeah.
Never let a woman know her own shortcomings.
As a good tip. I mean, don't tell us shit we don't want to hear.
Always appear to a woman to be the anxious one.
No, bullshit.
Women like to be told pleasant things about themselves.
To be honest, I love to hear terrible things told to me. Oh, for fuck's sake. That's compliments. That's more of compliments.
When you make love, be ardent and earnest.
Ardent, yes. Earnest, The word earnest there, I'm not going to go into details, but I think there's a lot of girls who are going, yeah, not so much.
And the average man can fool the average woman if he will only let her have a way at the start.
Ooh.
So,
I think the same can be said for the opposite side.
Absolutely.
I think the sexes have been playing this game for a long time. Please, you have your way. I have my eyes on you.
These were the 6 rules he apparently lived his life by. I think we're a much less enlightened time than we perhaps live in today.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, Nick. Those sound scarily similar to some of the books I have read about attraction and kind of all sorts of dating, the stuff that you read in your youth, and that were applied to women as well. Like, going, women, if you just do this, he's bound to marry you.
Well,
and all those women who wrote those books
they had read
divorced.
Fox List as well. there was one quote from the article had to be said.
Okay.
So he's quoted saying, "Women are all right in their place, but only marry one at a time."
Good logic.
Yeah,
Like it.
and that is the story of Johann Otto Hock whatever the hell his name was.
Yay! That's a brilliant
It's a good story.
Oh my god! I do not know that story. Fantastic. Oh, there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot going on there.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, honestly, when I was listening to that story, again, I think you set up that story beautifully with the most complicated cocktail we've ever had. And full disclosure, we have been picking at the sugar. Lemon has not disintegrated on my one. It's still holding firm, but I'm just eating the sugar off the side. But that guy... Honestly, when you were saying about the investigator, the Reverend, let's just have a shout out for the Reverend.
Awesome Reverend.
Who is just a force for justice. He is doing his research. He's writing letters. God damn it, that Reverend is a hero.
Absolutely.
But your man, whose name we don't even know, Hock, whatever. Hocking Hoff, whatever his name is.
Count Otto von Klein.
Oh, let's call him that. Count Otto. Let's say Count Otto. Count Otto, I mean, that is as close to a proper serial killer. Yes, motivated by money, clearly, but the love of killing.
Yeah.
You know, maybe apart from Cream, maybe apart from a couple of others.
I mean, he was convicted on just the one count of murder.
Of course,
that was the
often
conviction.
is the case.
As often is often the case. I mean, it was suspected that there could have been up to 15, 16 murders. And he had married, say, they suspected up to like 44. So he certainly didn't kill everyone. He killed plenty of them, a third.
But if he's found at the end with all of the wedding rings as well, that just gives some indication that he's
hoarding and keeping trinkets.
He's keeping kind of mementos from all the people he's
Well,
killed.
there was one. You say that there's one thing the prosecution said that without keeping mementos, he actually kept the memento of the name. Oh. The surname of his previous victim.
Just to remember what name he had to have. Would he need to use that as evidence, or maybe?
I don't know. It was something that came up with by the prosecution. That they brought up as a curious fact, as you say, as serial killers want to keep trinkets and mementos of their things. He kept the name.
But that seems the idea that, you know, if he was using that name as he went from town to town, he might need to have some evidence. So keep the ring that's got it on there. He seems like a very, I don't know whether he was. Everything's laid out that he's a very clever and very meticulously planned these killings, as well, removing the organs.
Absolutely.
And also knowing arsenic was a massive proponent in the embalming process. Yeah.
He knows his science.
Yeah, he knew what would show up as a massive overdose and what would just be, we can just sort of vaguely pass this off. Oh, that's clever. That's pretty, that's chilling.
It's pretty creepy.
It's chilling. I like the Benny Hill way that it kind of escalated at the end of him running from house to house, marrying widows. Goodbye! And then whoever he could get hold of.
Yeah, with his pocket watch.
Yes. Mail order hypnotism.
Mail order hypnotism.
Please,
it's the way forward.
Can we bring back mail order courses on things? Now we just have Instagram courses by questionable people who should never be teaching you life coach courses. Honestly. Some of you are probably fine, but honestly. No, I'm all for let's just have mail order hypnotism courses. You know what you signed up for. What did he try? It didn't work.
It really didn't
work.
What
did he do to that landlady? I love
She's still going around as a chicken.
I'm a chicken, Marge. I'm a chicken. That is a great story. A great cocktail. A crazy cocktail. A crazy story. Guys, what do you think? What do you think of Count Otto? Otto. Whatever his name is.
Yep.
But he's mysterious. Mysterious. And the mysterious white power.
And the mysterious white power.
Okay, I feel I need to raise this as a what the fuck. Come on.
Oh, come on. We've had worse.
If I had done this, there would literally, the table would have flipped over by now if I had said a mysterious white powder that turns out to be arsenic.
I could have just said arsenic.
We did that once.
Oh, we did that already.
We did that once already. We're really scraping the barrel on some
we really
of these.
are. Some of these are not easy.
I know. I've turned down loads lately. I was like, I don't have an ingredient. But just like, okay, a vague idea around that, fine. Though, to be fair, taking mysterious white powder and coming up with this
I think
monstrosity on
it's
the
a
table.
good one.
It's a good one. It's Frankenstein's monster is what it is, Nick. But you have made something spectacular out of a vague thing. I won't have a go at you about it because, my God, did you deliver. What do you think, guys, of the story? What do we think of Otto? Crazy guy. Do we think he was a cold-hearted, really clever, knew exactly what he was doing serial killer? Less about the money, just like, let's just kill. And
no, the money was there.
The money was there,
the
but
important thing.
he adapted as he went. And I don't think we've had many people who were that methodical. Or is it one of those where, in retrospect, lots of crimes are attached to him?
I mean, we don't know. It could well be that they're attributing many other cases that were nothing to do with him to this man because he was known to use so many different aliases. Potentially, were all those aliases his? We don't know.
I like the fact that you started in the middle to show the fact that this was a build-up case. It wasn't just he was caught for one thing at the end, and then they went, oh, he may have done all of this.
Yeah.
This has been a methodical approach,
Absolutely.
which makes me think that genuinely...
I think many of them absolutely would have been. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Entirely genuine.
Well, share your thoughts and share your theories, people. And later today, or whenever you listen to this, please go on to the social media and take a look at the brandy.
I have a feeling it's not going to come out quite as well in the pictures. I have to say.
Take a look at it, but then try and look it up. It's hard to describe and hard to photograph. You just have to do it, guys. Impress your friends.
Absolutely.
Upset your relatives. Whatever happens, whatever you want to do with it, go for it. As ever, come and find us on Patreon. If you haven't already, we have got some brilliant spooky stuff going on Patreon because it's October. We've had a fantastic guest story this week, and we've got some very special guests next week, also talking about all things spooky. And if you've got spooky stories for October, there's not long left.
No, indeed not. It's fast running out.
Tell us if you have ghost stories that are related to poison in some way. Any stories.
They're not easy to find, but they're out there.
We have tried. We really have tried. But we have a couple which are absolute gems that people have sent in. You know what? Now is the time to flood us with the ghost stories vaguely related to poison, or just really kick-ass stories that you'd like to hear on Patreon or on the main episode, whatever you want. Send us the stories. Send us the ghostly stuff for October, because once October's done, it's done.
No more ghosts.
It's nothing but damp November and vague Christmas shit. Check out our merch store if you need some hoodies for the winter season. We've got some on there.
One. I must do this soon.
You really should.
Yeah.
But we've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we've got mugs, we've got stickers. It takes a little while for them to get delivered, but great Christmas presents, guys.
Well, quite, indeed.
Well, you know what? Christmas present for yourself.
Absolutely, the best kind.
Or just a Samhain present for yourself. Treat yourself. You've earned it.
Well, if you have enjoyed our drunken cocktail ramblings about poison, please go on to iTunes, leave us a review. It is hugely helpful for us, and it's fantastic to see, lovely to see. Thank you very much if you have, but please do.
Thanks so much for listening, guys. We have been the people inside the Poisoner's Cabinet. We will see you next week. And remember, your loved ones are trying to kill you.
Bye.